Oh, yes. We've got the band back together again. Joining me today on the Texas Tailgate Talk podcast is none other than ND Kalu. Yes, I do have something, Mr. Stroud. Welcome to the Texas Tailgate Talk podcast. I'm your host, Big Sarge. Make sure you follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end. Follow me on the Tick and the Talk at Big Sarge Media. Make sure you subscribe to the Texas Tailgate Talk podcast and YouTube, all one word, Texans Tailgate Talk. And make sure you follow me on Instagram at Big Sarge Sports with a Z at the end. Because, you know, we do everything for the gram. What's going on, y'all? Hey, I ain't going to even lie to y'all. I'm kind of excited about today. Joining me right now is none other than your former NFL, Houston sports media, your uncle. Can I call you Unc now? You Unc?
But just don't call me Gramps.
Man, we got ND Kalu joining the Texas Tailgate Talk podcast today. ND, first of all, man, how have you been? It's been a minute.
Man, it's been a minute. Man, everything's beautiful. Can't complain. Loving life. When you sent me the invite, that was just another thing for me to smile about. So it's all good on this end, brother, and I appreciate you.
Hey, man, no problem at all. How was the family? And especially DK, he's heading into what now, his third year?
Third year, redshirt sophomore over at Baylor, looking to get a lot of playing time this year. God willing, stay healthy, but just excited about what he's doing, what the other kids are doing, and they're home now for the summer. So,
yeah.
I missed them, but after about a week, I was like, man, y'all got to get back.
The light building went up, the grocery building went up.
Yes.
Gas money, everything. Hey, look, I got a question though for you real quick. So what you're telling me is that all them rich folks over at Rice couldn't put together an NIL deal and bring DK home to Rice? I'm just playing.
I tried coming out of high school, but he fell in love with one of your old hometowns, Waco, Texas.
Yeah.
He likes the fishing out there. He likes how quiet and laid back and just the game day experience. They do a great job. I can't take anything away from him.
Well, I definitely wish him luck this season, and maybe if I could pay him a couple of dollars to come on the Sports Talk with Big Sarge show to talk about how college life and what it's been like as a D1 athlete playing football at Baylor University. Man, I would definitely love to have him on. Tell him, hey, ask him if he got like what is it like? The Affirm or something, like something he can put me on a payment plan on and I can pay on. like he give me a price, but I can pay on it every month. And if I pay it off in 6 months, it don't have no interest, right?
That's right. Hey, look, with this NIL with these college boys, it's crazy out there. So they're a little bit detached from reality with some of these guys. Not so much my boy, but with what some of these guys are demanding and expecting, it's nuts.
It's crazy, ND, when we can look at the NFL and we see these college football players coming in, being drafted and coming to the NFL, and they made more money when they was in college than they do on their rookie deal. I think that that's what Shedeur, right? Shedeur Sanders, who Deion's son, who was drafted to the Cleveland Browns. I think that he just signed his rookie deal, but he made more money in college than he is on his rookie deal.
I'm pretty sure about that one, but the one that I saw, Big Sarge, was Quinn Ewers, the quarterback from UT. They said that he had a deal in place, and I don't trust these numbers because a buddy of mine, he works with NIL, and he says most of what we see, they've inflated it, but apparently Ewers had a deal that's paying him more than what he's making in the NFL. And if I'm a quarterback, especially a quarterback, because you and I and the people listening and watching to this show, quarterbacks, whether you get drafted first, second, third round, it's such a crapshoot, more so than any other position in the NFL. If I'm a good college quarterback, I'll play as many years as college football as I could play, get that NIL money before I go risk my talents in the NFL. It's crazy because I would not. I can't even remember how many guys were drafted in the first round this year that played quarterback. Maybe one of them is going to live up to expectations.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I look at. I'm saying to myself, if I was playing a skill position and I was in college, and I'm like, I would just keep monitoring where I would be drafted at. And I was like, if I say I know I'm going to go in the first round, I'm like, well, shoot, I might be able to spend another year in college and make another $4-5 million. So, I mean, when you look at a quarterback like on the flip side, though, ND, what about when you have, and I didn't even know we were going to talk about NIL real quickly. You know, you and I have this NIL conversation a lot because I'm just like, I always want to pick your brain on it. But what about for a quarterback like Arch Manning, right? Who has all the amount of money he could ever need because, you know, from both of his uncles and his dad making money, and now he's making money at the University of Texas. I feel like, you know, and I'm talent to the side. I'm not comparing the talent of Arch Manning and Shedeur Sanders. I'm not doing that. But when they are these kids who are very popular, who's making a lot of money coming into the NFL, like for them, that's just for the love of the game.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing: when you're that talented and that accomplished as a guy like Manning, or even Shedeur Sanders, or even Quinn Ewers, you want to prove yourself at the highest level. Like, don't get me wrong, money is a priority. If anybody says it's not, they're lying. And it's okay for money to be a priority, but you also want to play with the best, play against the best to prove that you're the best. So with Quinn Ewers, I feel like I can't get into his mind, but I was surprised that he made himself eligible for the draft, unless somebody was in his ear saying you're going first round, second round. But you know, why not take that money? These kids aren't going to class, so you can't even say, oh, it's because of the academics. You know, it's too tough to juggle the two. Unfortunately, and I really mean unfortunately, they're not taking that part serious, so that doesn't matter. But I think there's also this drive of wanting to play at the highest level.
Yeah, because I know, like, if for me, if I ever had that opportunity, I know what would be driving me is, you know, and I think that what drives a lot of these kids, and I think that's why, you know, some of them try to now with NIL try to get as much money as they can, because like they're coming from some situations to where it's like, yeah, I want to go play on the next level because I know that I can make this amount of money, but you know, I'm also here. Like, you got the basketball player at BYU that's making, you know, all that money. You had the young lady, I forgot, I think she came from Stanford, the pitcher. She went from Stanford to Texas Tech, and they paid her like $1 million plus to come there for just 1 year. And I know that for some people that's not, you know, generational type money or whatever the case may be. But I'm saying to myself, look, if I could have got Indy, let me tell you something. If I could have got $1,000 coming out of high school, going into college, could you imagine $1,000 in the 90s? Oh yeah, I'm all up at Carol's and Studio 9.9 in Jamaica. I'd be like, what? Hey, whatever they want. It's on me, because what, a bottle back at that time probably about $100. I'm like, yeah, give us one. We're gonna split that. Hey, y'all brought the cups in here, right? Because I told y'all that we was cheap.
Look, I got a real one for you. I think I may have told you this before when I was on air, but when I was in college, we were so broke that when I went to the Senior Bowl, I got the Senior Bowl MVP, and the only reason I say that is because it came with a check, and I didn't know. So they gave me this little trophy, and then they gave me an envelope, and I didn't open the envelope until I was on the flight home from Mobile, Alabama.
Yeah,
man, it said $500. You'd have thought it said 500 million, because when the plane landed, I was like, "Hey, who's going to escort me off this plane? I'm rich. I got." You couldn't tell me nothing, and that's just $500. And And these kids now, you know, we always talk about the big numbers because that's sexy, but you got so many guys making $50,000, $60,000, like backups, you know, making $60,000, $70,000, and that's nothing to sneeze at. So it's the game has changed.
So basically, what you're telling me is that when you came back from the Senior Bowl, you was all up in Papa those off 6'10" balling.
Or treasures.
Whichever one, right?
Yeah, whichever one. I'll let you fill in the gap.
Once again, you're tuning into the Texans Tailgate Talk podcast. I'm your host, Big Sarge, along with ND Kalu. ND, let me jump in right quick and ask you some questions about these Houston Texans who have, you know, in year one, they exceeded expectations. In year two, they did what was expected. Year three, what do you see for the Houston Texans as they're currently constructed right now? Because I know we haven't had OTAs, we haven't had minicamp, we haven't had training camp, no preseason, but as they're currently constructed right now with the roster that they have, what do you see for the Texans as a team in year three? And what do you expect from head coach DeMeco Ryans?
You know what? I'm expecting another season, Sarge, where you win the division. And I know a lot of people say, well, you're not hanging any banners when you win the division. But my thought is once you get to the playoffs, anything can happen. So you have to get to the playoffs. But, I mean, when you look at C.J. Stroud, when you look at Joe Mixon, when you look at the ancillary players like Dare Gumbawale, you know, those guys that actually give you production on the field, they're great in the locker room. They still have that. Now, obviously, the big question mark is going to be the offensive line again. But I'm still, when I look at the core of this team, when I look at the playmakers, the Nico Collins of the world, they bring in Christian Kirk. I'm expecting them to win the division. I don't like to make any predictions after that because I think a good team can lose to another good team in the first round of the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? So I'm still expecting success, and I feel like this team might be a lineman or two away from really pushing for that conference championship.
Indy, when you have when you have players like the players that they acquired in the offseason coming into on the offensive line, like a Cam Robinson, like a Trent Brown, like a Ed Ingram, like a Laken Thomason, these guys that are coming in from the outside, coming into this situation where the team has had success. What is it like coming in as a new player trying to fit in, especially when a team has lost players like you know, one of the fan favorites and one of the team favorites in like Laramie Tunsil, who is no longer here. Now you got these guys that are supposed to come in and take some of the place of some of the former teammates.
See, but you already, what you said early on, when you're coming to a good team, it makes it easier to join the team because all you have to do is stay in your lane, like the wise man Ball once said, stay in your lane and be a piece of the puzzle. Like, you don't have to be this guy that's going to change the culture. You don't have to be a rah-rah guy. You know, whether it's Ed Ingram, the guard, I don't know if they're putting him in guard or tackle, or Cam Robinson. You know what?
Yep.
All you have to – Cam Robinson, if he's going to play left tackle, which I believe that's where they're going to put him, and have Blake Fisher at right tackle, he just has to worry about and focus on being the best tackle he can be. He just has to focus on making sure he's protecting C.J. Stroud. It's not a situation where you're – and I've been on both sides of it, where you're with a struggling organization. So not only do you have to be the best player, you have to be the best locker room guy. You have to try to say certain things at the right time. But what's cool about this situation for these veteran free agents, they just got to get in and fit in where they can.
Yeah, you know, this is the one reason why I really like talking to you, ND, because of your wealth of knowledge and the things that you went through, your experiences in the NFL. Was it hard for you to adapt when you went to a new team?
So the way I went, so you know, I switched teams 3 times in my 12 years. So my first going from after my second year, or I got cut from Philly, then I went to Washington. So my whole thought was just every day at practice was a Super Bowl. Like, I'm just trying to prove I belong.
Right.
Then after my 3 years in Washington, I was a free agent, and that's when I was finally getting suited by other teams. So then I went to Philadelphia, and the team was already good, and they just needed another pass rusher / outside linebacker. So what was cool about that, it was like, man, I just got to focus on this playbook right here. And they don't need me to say anything. Brian Dawkins is right behind me. Bobby Taylor's right there. You know what I'm saying? Troy Vincent is Jeremiah Trotter. So it's like, man, just shut up and play type deal. That was easy. Then when I came to Houston for my final 3 years, it was a little bit different. I was an old veteran towards the end of my career. They brought in Mario Williams, so they kind of needed that guy to be that mentor, that older guy to kind of, talk to him and let him know how it's done. And he had a lot of help as well. It wasn't just myself. So it was different. And that's where I wasn't focused so much on just my job on the field. It was more being a good leader. So it's just different aspects. They're all fun. They're all important. But for this team, if I'm joining the 2025 Houston Texans, the cool thing would be, man, I just got to get in and fit in. They got leaders. They got Will Anderson. They got Aziz, Alshire. They got CJ Stroud, Jalen Petrie. Like, they got good leaders where you just got to fit in and play ball.
Dang, Indy, I forgot that you had played with that defense. And listen, as a Dallas Cowboys fan, I did not. I was like, the Eagles this week, it's gonna be. Look, I feel like this year, like I used to feel when y'all used to. I'd be like, oh man. And then wait, hold on, was Westbrook on that team too?
Yeah, Brian Westbrook played with him. Like, we were Donovan McNabb, Terrell Owens. Like, we were stacked. Like, that was a fun locker room.
I'm gonna tell you why I didn't like it, because Andy Reid would have run these screens against the Cowboys defense and just destroy. I was like, how can y'all not stop the screen? But then I realized, I was like, well, look who you playing against. But Andy, you mentioned all those players that you played with, and you played on a very good Philadelphia Eagles defense. When you look at the Houston Texans defense, they have what I believe to be a top 5, top 7 NFL defense. I feel like that defense is really good. But one of the weaknesses on that team is in the interior, the interior part of the interior defensive lineman. It doesn't stand out as much as the other position groups do, like what you have at cornerback and what you have at linebacker, what you even have at safety. Now that they went out and they got CJ Gardner-Johnson, and we already know. I'm going to ask you a little bit later on about the two disruptive defensive ends that they have. So when you're looking at that, and especially with these teams who going up against these teams who like to run the ball, who like to run the ball a lot, and a lot of these teams like to establish the run early, how can they fix that going into training camp? Or is that just something that's going to have to be done through scheme?
Well, scheme is a big part of it. Now, when we say that that's the weakness of the defense, I need, and I'm not saying it's not, but I don't have stats in front of me, but I need to see how many yards people are getting in between the A and B gaps, because when I look at that defense from last year, and even the defense, it's all about what's about to happen in the future moving forward. I think the interior line, they may be weakness, for lack of a better word, just as far as popularity, because let's start from the back end. When you look at the defensive backs, you have Derek Stingley Jr., one of the best, if not the best, cornerbacks in the game. Then Kamari Lassiter having an all-rookie type season, first-team all-rookie type season. Then you have another stud rookie, Kalen Bullock. So there's a lot of name recognition with your defensive backs. Then Jalen Petrie, one of the most versatile players in the game. Then when you look at the linebackers and you talk about Aziz Al-Shaair, Henry To'oTo'o, who's solid, but he's not a big name just yet. But then obviously, like you mentioned, the defensive ends, your bookends, probably the best duo, and I'll say arguably the best duo in Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. I feel like I might be forgetting one or two teams. So when you name all those position groups, the defensive interior linemen become a second thought. But Fatukasi, if you watch him play, that dude could ball. Tim Settle, in my opinion, Tim Settle is one of the most underrated guys in the game. So maybe with that depth, but I just don't know every team's going to have a weakness. And they don't have, as much as I like Fatukasi and Tim Settle, Sheldon Rankins, Mario Edwards. I'm not going to sit up here and say that they're Chris Jones, or Jalen Carter, who's just a straight stud. I'm
Vita
not
Vea.
Exactly. So with that being said, then yeah, you got a scheme to make sure that these smaller but athletic defensive tackles aren't getting gashed and opening up run lanes.
Yeah, and that's what I'm looking at too, because I watch these guys, and not only do I know what they're like as far as the locker room, and I will say this: defensive line coach Rod Wright has done an excellent job in getting the best out of everybody that he puts into the game, because they have the one thing that they had last year that I think that they're going to have this year as well, that helps them out a lot, is that they rotate a lot, and so they keep a lot of fresh bodies in and out of the game, and so I think that that's one of the things that helps them a lot, especially when you got because some of those interior defensive linemen, a lot of those guys are a little bit older. They've been in the league a little bit longer, and that can help you as far as the experience. But sometimes, when you're going to sometimes you just get out athleted sometimes. So I can understand that. But we mentioned Danielle Hunter, and we mentioned Will Anderson Jr., and they had a really good season last year. I felt like if Will doesn't get hurt, and it's crazy because he was named AFC Defensive Player of the Month, and on the same day, in the same week that he was named that, this was against the Jets on Halloween, he got hurt. Now he's out a couple of games, which is the same way I felt about Nico Collins. When Nico Collins got hurt, he went out as the number one wide receiver in receiving yards in the NFL. And I'm saying that man was on his way to an all-pro season, right? Yeah. But when you look at a healthy Danielle Hunter, you look at a healthy Will Anderson Jr., how can they improve on what they did last season?
You know what? Danielle Hunter, I mean, what is this, year 13 for him? Yeah. You can always improve. Don't get me wrong. I don't care how long you've been playing. But to me, he just has to keep doing what he's doing. With the way he played last year, I did not expect that much production, as great as he's been over the last decade. Yeah. I think a guy like Danielle Hunter, his focus needs to be just getting his body where it needs to be so he can continue to play 17, 18 weeks. Will Anderson, he's still young. This is a guy that wants to have J.J. Watt type greatness, and he can if the longevity piece is there. I would say for Will Anderson, try to perfect 3 moves. That's all you need. And that's not including the counter. So if one of your moves is the double swipe outside rush, obviously you have to have a counter inside. So I'm not considering that a move. But if he can continue to perfect his move, his pass rush technique, I mean, sky's the limit for a guy like Will Anderson Jr.
Yeah. Oh, ND, I think I had to do that move one time in the club to get away from somebody.
You can get to her.
Right. I said, wait a minute, I gotta get up. Right, Andy, I ain't gonna hold you too much longer, man. I got
talk to you all day, Big Sarge.
I got a couple of more things I need to ask you. I want to go back to the offensive side of the ball. We seen what CJ was able to do in his rookie year. It took the league by storm. And in his second year, he kind of regressed. And when he did not look like he was having fun, I got an opportunity to speak with DJ Bieneme from ESPN. Him and I had a conversation. He said that CJ told him on the record that he didn't have fun. And so, and I could see that on his face. As a former NFL player, ND, and I know you don't like when I say that, but I gotta keep telling people, because like I'm proud of it. I can say and be like, hey, so I just like, yeah, man, one of my good friends, he used to play in the NFL, man. You know what I'm saying? Just hold on, I ain't gonna call him right now. He's busy doing something. But Eddie, how can CJ get back to having fun? How do you have fun in the NFL?
You know what? That's a great question, Big Sarge. And everyone's a little bit different, and their perspective is a little bit different. What I see with a guy like CJ is him chasing greatness and wanting to be great to the point where if he's good but not great, if he has a good game but not a great game, he's going to be disappointed in himself. But I saw some clips where he talked about that that he just needs to enjoy the process, because now that I've been out of the NFL for God knows how many years, when I talk to current players and a lot of the guys that I still get a chance to mentor or coach up, man, I just remind them, even if you're on the worst team in the NFL, Sarge, it's still such a privileged lifestyle. Like to in the off season, your job description is to put on some basketball shorts, slide, and go work out with a bunch of dudes you're cool with. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, that's your job description. Like, who's the worst team in the NFL right now? Is it maybe Cleveland or?
Cleveland is bad. The Raiders.
The Raiders. Like, okay, the Raiders. If you're a Raider right now on one of the worst teams in the NFL, you live in Las Vegas. You wake up to go work out. Your buddies come in town on the weekend, and you take them to the Strip. Like, you better enjoy that, because I got some reality for you, buddy. It's all downhill after this. Look, here's my office right now. That's where I'm spending 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
So you just have to just realize, like, what type of blessing. I done knocked down all my stuff. What type of blessing it is to be in the league. But I will say this: I played in the league, but you know what I never did? I never played quarterback, and I know there's a lot of pressure that comes with that position. So it's a little bit different. A defensive end, you know what? You could have a defensive player, defensive end. If you play 70 plays, I can get blocked, pancake, manhandled for 67 plays. If I have 2 sacks, I'm at the club, man. But for a quarterback, you could have 3 touchdown passes, call an efficient game, but you throw a pick 6 to end the game, you're the worst person in the world. So that's a whole different animal. I have a lot of respect for quarterbacks, but regardless of the position, you just have to remember where you're at and just enjoy the ride.
All right, indeed. And now that I got all the Texan stuff out of the way on the Texans Tailgate Talk podcast, try to say that a lot. Indy, I want to go around the NFL with you real quick before you get off here.
Mm-hmm.
As a former defensive player, do you find it weak if your team and your defensive coordinator and your owner says, "Hey man, we got to find a way to ban the tush push"? Like, shouldn't these shouldn't these owners be telling these defensive coordinators and these head coaches be telling these defensive coordinators, "Hey man, find some way to stop it. Stop crying. I don't want the play banned just because they found a way to be able to beat us." Don't go around here, and this is just my views. Don't go around here and be like, "Hey, we want that play banned." Well, why do you want it banned? Oh, because we can't stop it. Oh, gotcha. Now I get it.
I'm so glad you asked me this question, because to answer your question, as a player, well, here's the thing. They haven't been able to stop it successfully, but here's why I think it's ridiculous that they're trying to get it banned, because it's obviously not that easy, or every team will be having success doing it. So my question or my thought I should say is, if not everyone can perfect this and make it work, then it's not that much of an advantage. Does that make sense? Because I know sometimes my mind works a little differently and people are like, "Man, what's this fool talking about?" But my point is, like, if every team was doing it successfully, or teams were like, "You know what? We're just going to tush push the whole drive of the field. It's going to be a long, boring, methodic drive, but we'll score," then I'll be like, "Okay, get rid of it." But I've seen other teams try it, and they failed miserably.
The Bills always fail with it.
That's my point. So it's not that much of an advantage if the team, or if the whole league isn't having success. It's just the Philadelphia Eagles are doing it. They're doing it well. And yes, you're getting the push from behind, but also you have a quarterback that squats 700 pounds.
Yes.
Like I call that smart coaching. Like
exactly.
more coaches need to adjust what they're doing to fit their quarterback's strengths instead of saying, "Oh, this quarterback can't do this, so he sucks." Like, people try to compare Jalen Hurts to a traditional style quarterback, sits in the pocket, and that's stupid. Like and try to say, "Oh, well, Joe Burrow's better than Jalen Hurts because he has more yards passing." But that's not what makes Jalen Hurts special. It's his versatility, it's his legs, it's his strength, it's his toughness. Like once he touches the ball, he becomes a fullback. Joe Burrow, who's a straight beast, he's more hit you in the pocket, pick you apart. Is one better than the other? I don't know. One of them won a Super Bowl, so that's why. But as far as the tush push, until we get to the day where all 32 teams are having success, then you might want to say, okay, we have to think about getting rid of it. But don't fault the Philadelphia Eagles just because they know how to utilize a quarterback who can squat 700 pounds.
It reminds me of so I always get them mixed up. Okay, so Jim coaches the Chargers, John coaches the Ravens. Harbaugh.
Wait, say that again.
Jim Harbaugh coaches the Chargers. John coaches the Ravens.
Oh, that's correct. Yeah. John was a former special teams coach at with the Eagles.
Okay, so it reminds me how much John Harbaugh used to get upset and I don't want to say cry to the media. I don't want to use the word cry. So let me use complain. Maybe or voice of concern. Is that the politically correct way to say?
That's a good way to say it.
He would voice his concern in the media every time they played the New England Patriots because Bill Belichick knew the rule book like the back of his hand, and he would always do something different. And John would be like, "That's not legal. That's just another." And then they'd be like, the refs would say like, "Well, it's legal." Then the league would come back and tell him it's legal. He just found a way to circumvent the rules to what he needed it to be. And he got right there on the line of it being illegal, but it wasn't illegal. It's still within the legal parameters of the game. And that's how I feel it is with the tush push. It's legal. It's not illegal. And what the Eagles did was they found a play that works for them. And the one reason why I feel like everybody can't do it is because, well, one, everybody doesn't have an offensive line like the Eagles. Like you got to be able to have the guys who can get that push up front, and every team doesn't have that. And then, like you said, the quarterback who can squat 700 pounds. So once them offensive linemen get going downhill, and then you got him coming downhill, and then you got the running back who also squats 700 pounds pushing him, like they're not going to get a pushback. So that play is going to be effective, especially in short yardage situations. But my thing is, and do you remember when they first started doing the Wildcat?
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, it's like, we don't know how to stop the Wildcat. We can't stop the Wildcat. And then like 2 seasons later, people start running the Wildcat because they figured out a way to stop the Wildcat.
Right. That's
all I feel. I'm like, hey, look, it's got to be some grad assistant, some guy at a D3 school who all he does is watch all 22 and does film study, and there's got to be somebody out there who says, I know how to stop this. And then once he stopped, because and I hate that I didn't have this information on hand right now, because I knew I was going to ask you this question, because there's a team that the Eagles have not been successful running that tush push against. I can't think of who it is, but it's one team out there that every time they try to run that tush push against them, they stop it. I'm gonna look. I got to look it up because I got to make sure that the listeners and the viewers that they know exactly who I'm talking about. But all I'm saying is that, Indy, I mean, from where we come from, I'm just like, hey, bro, look, hey. There used to be a fast guy in the neighborhood that you had to play football against. You couldn't, you knew you couldn't catch him. You knew you couldn't run him down. The best thing to do, dive at his feet. Find a way. Find a way to stop him. Push your homeboy into him. Something. You gotta find a way. That's all I'm saying. Is just find a way. But ND, man, I thank you.
You've been watching football as long as I have, and and I still don't know exactly when, but tell me if you remember this. I remember maybe when we were teenagers or young, the offensive linemen, they couldn't push the ball carrier forward.
No, they couldn't.
Yeah,
Yep.
so that was because I remember when this tush push first came out, and I'm not big on the rules, especially since I stopped doing my show. I don't study the game like I should. But because I remember with the tush push, I remember thinking, I didn't complain about it, but I was like, is that legal? But then some commentator did a good job explaining that, yeah, back like in the 90s or even early 2000s, it was illegal. And it wasn't really the tush push, if you remember. It would be like a running back about to score, and then
they pick him up.
Pile. Yeah, they pick him up, and that was illegal. But then I guess they either made it legal or they just stopped calling it.
Yeah.
And now you have the tush push. So, but I still think they should leave it alone, because if one team is the one team that's having success, that means they're doing it better than everybody else, and they shouldn't be punished for that.
I mean, you look at it like this, Indy, the Lions with Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson, the former offense coordinator, who's the head coach of the Chicago Bears right now. Like, they came up with a way to use extra offensive linemen to make them eligible. So now you're like, you don't know if they're going to just run the ball behind all these offensive linemen on one side that they overloaded, or they may throw the pass. And as time went on, people learn how to play against that play and stop that play. And I know that's easier said than done, but I just don't like, football to me has always been mano a mano. Hey, look, man, you get out on the field and you go at it. It's a physical sport. And as time went on, I noticed the game evolved into a thinking man's game. And so I'm saying to myself, there's got to be somebody out there that can stop this play without complaining and crying. And I can't believe that amount of owners said, yeah, man, I think that we should ban the tush push. That's about as crazy as, you know what? I ain't gonna say it.
But think about owners. They're used to complaining and finding loopholes, and if things don't work out their way, then changing legislation so their business, which wasn't certified for this, now is certified, and they became billionaires. They're used to making changes to benefit them. But Jeffrey Lurie, the owner of the Eagles, like, nope, y'all ain't gonna change this. So I'm not surprised that the owners are complaining about it.
Well, Indy, I thank you for joining me today on the Texans Tailgate Talk podcast. I definitely got to have you back on. We said that last year, and then you got busy, and I ain't gonna lie, I kind of got busy too.
Hold on, I'm like in the studio. What kind of? I see the retractable sign. I like that behind you over your left shoulder. I like the Superman. What's inside that S?
Big Sarge.
I love it. I love the Texas symbol. That's a nice sign, right? That Texas symbol.
Hey, you see, it's a Rockets. I got it from the Rocket store. So it's the state of Texas, and then it's right the star for the Rockets is right there where Houston is.
Nice. I like that. Then you got who's 24?
That's what
2024, right?
Yeah, the Texans. You got one?
I think so. Yeah,
you did, because I know you still get shoes too.
Oh yeah. Then is that Kobe? Is that Kobe back there?
Yeah, Kobe right here and Kobe right there. And then this is me and my mom. This is when I was like, I want to say I had to be about 5 years old right there. So, I make sure she's always over my shoulder. And hey, look, let me tell you something.
Ooh, and I see the Nikes back there. You can't hide money. You can't hide.
Hey man, all this, look, this ain't nothing but outlet. This ain't nothing but outlet shop. But hold on for 1 second, ND. Hold on.
Okay.
See, hold on. I still got it, man. But you told me I can't put it up if I don't put it in the frame.
Nice.
I still got it. It's still right here. But you told me I can't put it up unless I put it in the frame. So I got to wait till I can look. Maybe I need to go to the resale shop and sell some of these shoes so I can afford a frame.
You need to go to Glover Quinn. He started his own framing business, and he's kicking tail.
For
Glover
real?
Quinn, former safety for the Texans and Detroit Lions. He's on Instagram, and he's always posting his work. It's pretty cool to see a guy like that who has so much success in the NFL find something that he's passionate about You know, after he retired. But yeah, check him out on Instagram, Glover Quinn. He does frames like that.
I got that. And look, I'm gonna need your help too, because Trap J lies to me every time, right? Trap J lies to me every time. Hey, Trap J, I'm gonna need to get you on the show, man. I'm gonna need to sit down and talk. Sarge, you know I got you, man. Whenever you need me to. I be like, hey, Trap, I can't catch up with him. No, look, the only way I can find Trap J, I know I'm gonna see him on Sundays at NRG, and I gotta find. Look, if the McNairs are having something, I know I can find him there too. Like I think the next time I'm gonna see him is when they do their that little event that they do for the where they introduce the players at the at NRG.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody dresses up. I'm a corner. I'm gonna put him on video and say,
"Here's what you got to do. Tell Travis I got these for you." And if you just say, "Hey, Travis, I need you on the show, and you could smoke some of these." I can call him right now. So I got a cigar for you. If you jump on the Big Sarge show, you're gonna see him pop up. He's gonna pop up right.
But Indy, I wanted to ask you though, are you gonna call some more of the preseason games on Channel 13 this year?
Yeah, you know what's funny? We just had our first production meeting, and they were talking about we're calling all 3 of the preseason games. And then they said like, oh, the dates aren't listed, but we had already sent y'all the email. Of course, I didn't get it. I didn't want to say anything. So I'm like, yeah, when are the dates? So I still don't know. So I'll probably ask you offline. But yeah, I am going to call them. I just don't know when and where.
So I know that, you know, the 3 games, though.
I know the teams. I believe it's Carolina here.
Yep.
Which I would have rather have gone to Carolina.
Oh, I love Carolina.
And, Detroit, so my ass probably gonna get shot. So we're gonna and then Minnesota, but Prince is dead, so there ain't no reason to go to Minnesota. So 2 trips that I'm not really looking forward to, but I love getting in the booth.
Indy, I'm gonna tell you something that's so crazy, man. Because one, I do love going to Carolina. I'd rather go to Minnesota than to LA, though. I love Minnesota.
Tell me a reason, and I'll go check it out. Why?
Because, well, one, I just don't like LA. I've never been an LA guy. That's why, you know, when we go, it's the first game of the season against the Rams. My wife definitely wants to see SoFi. I've never been to SoFi, so I'm gonna go. But I'm just like, for one, it's just too much going on. I think I've gotten to an age where I can't be around. Indy, you too young to remember this word, so just hear me out. It'd be too much rigmarole going on, you know. It'd be too much going on in LA, and I'm like, bro, this too much. And in Minnesota, when we went there, the weather was nice. Me and my wife walked from the hotel to the stadium. We had a nice time. We walked down the street to the sports pub. I mean, it was just amazing. It was just slow and quiet.
See, I think that though, all jokes aside, because of everything you've been through. Because I've noticed that I've known you for years now, and when I come and invite you out, you always come out of respect. But I can tell you're not comfortable around a lot of people, a lot of noise, and I can respect that. Considering I'm not gonna put your business out there, but people know that you've defended this country. So considering what you do, because one day I was thinking about it when I saw you politely leave, I was like, you know what? I bet he's experienced something where he don't like a bunch of folks he don't know around him.
So yes, and another reason, Indy, I'm just getting old, man. I'm just Indy, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I'm getting old. I'm getting set in my ways. Me and my wife, I'd be like, we got invited out to go to dinner the other night, right? And it was we got invited to go out with 3 other couples, and I was like, hey, you want to go out? She was like, I was like, you want to stay at home and sit on the couch? She's like, yes. And Indy, sometimes that's our date night. Like, we got a lot going on this weekend for Memorial Day weekend, but for the most part, Indy, I've just gotten to the point where I just like, it's even like that when I go to games with my wife, games that I'm not covering. I don't know why I don't feel like it's just a lot. It'd be like a lot of noise and a lot of things going on. I just be like, hey, can I just, where my seat at in the press box? Next time I'm gonna have to leave you here by yourself. But yes, I think I will be making a trip to Detroit, though. I think I will be making a trip to Detroit.
Oh, good. Well, let me know so we could chop it up. What?
Last time you and I was in the same place, you know what? I take that back. We did
Yeah,
get a chance to chop it up.
yeah,
We at halftime.
yeah. Because you didn't come by before halftime.
No, I was looking for you and I didn't see you in there. This was in Pittsburgh last season.
Yeah, I remember because I had them nasty ass hot dogs, and you came by. We talked for a little bit, then you took off, and I was like, "Hold on, we still got 10 minutes left."
But
But
we were supposed to get dinner when you got
yeah,
to the at the hotel, and I was like, I didn't hear from you, and I was like, oh well, indeed, he Hollywood now,
man, I could have
he-
sworn you were the one. I think you were traveling the night we were supposed to get dinner or something.
I was coming from Ohio. I drove from Ohio to Pittsburgh.
That's what it was. That's
Yeah,
what it was. I
so
don't know nobody in Pittsburgh. I was just sitting in my room watching
oh,
Netflix.
my bad. I thought you had hair and makeup. My bad.
No. Look, no hair and no makeup. And no fingernails being painted. I'm a real one.
Well, ND, man, once again, man, I thank you for joining me here, man, today, and I appreciate all the expertise. And I say this to you every time, and I'm gonna keep saying it to you, so you might as well get used to it, man. I will never, ever, ever. Matter of fact, I just said your name the other day on one of the shows when I said in the immortal words of the great Negro poet, former NFL player and sports personality ND Kalu. Am I on something or on to something? But man, I thank you for the opportunity. And for those of y'all who don't know, who may have just be listening to this podcast for the first time, ND, how long were you doing in the trenches?
Maybe 12 years total.
And you gave me an opportunity. You and Greg. Have you talked to Greg?
We'll text every blue moon. We're still cool. Just
I know
he talked for so many years every day for 2 hours a day. Like,
right.
I don't have nothing else to say to him.
But you and Greg gave me an opportunity, man, to come and be a part of your show. And then when Greg left the show, you allowed me to still be on the show all the way and up until the day that you retired from radio, man. And I really do appreciate that, giving me the opportunity to come in 3 times a week and sit down and chop it up with you. And just there's a lot of people, Indy, who wouldn't have given not just myself, and not just me, a person who who covers multiple teams on the beat, but just a person that you just met at a book signing, at a book signing, and we got cool and we seen each other at other events. But you gave me an opportunity to be able to come in and sit down and talk sports with you, man. And I really appreciate it. I really like that a lot of the things that I said while we was on the show is starting to manifest itself. And I'm saying, see, you can't eat the meal from the air fryer or the microwave, right? You gotta wait. Like, this is old school cooking. You gotta wait till the meal is prepared. So I'm glad to see a lot of that come to fruition. And I mean, don't get me wrong, a lot of my stuff was wrong too, because I did become.
Go ahead and say it every time we together. One of your predictions that looks like it's hitting pay dirt, and people were ready to hang your ass when you said it. Go ahead and let the folks know.
I said that Jalen Hurts would be a better quarterback than Donovan McNabb.
And people were ready to kill you, including me. And right, it's arguable. I mean, he's won a Super Bowl, but it's still a team sport, and they're different kind of players. But that was a good call by you.
Yeah, I'm just, like I said, Indy, sometimes I just gotta, pat myself on the back because, for as much as I get right, I was also the president of the Kiki Kuti fan club. You remember that? You remember that?
That was your guy.
And hey, that didn't pan out. So
that didn't bother me too much. I think you just like saying Kiki Cutie.
Like I was the president of the fan club, and every time I see him post on social media, I want to be like, man, I had so much faith in you, brother.
What's he doing now? What's he doing now?
Trying to get another opportunity to get back into the NFL. Last season, he was on the team. He was on the Miami Dolphins for a minute because when they came to do the joint practice with the against the Texans, he was on the team then. And then,
oh wow, okay,
yeah. So
he's still in the system. So good for him.
Yeah, he's just trying to get another opportunity. But man, like I said, I thank you for that opportunity, man. And you know, people still come up to me and tell me all the time, and be like, man, I show miss hearing ND on the radio, and I'd be like, what about me though? Hey, look, you know, we always got that, but hey, but I was on the show too now. But yeah, they always talk about how much they miss you, man, and how much they miss, you know, some people say how much they miss us, because I tell people all the time when they ask me about my experience at on In the Trenches, I tell them, I was like, bro, that show was like knowledgeable barbershop talk. Like, we knew what we were talking about, but it almost seemed like ND and I was just sitting in the barbershop chopping it up. And a lot of people don't believe me when I tell them this. I was like, yo, me and ND, it wasn't no preparing for the show. Like, we sit down and we just start talking. So if you heard us disagree on something, we genuinely disagreed. If we agreed, then we agreed. It's like, it wasn't no, okay, ND, I'm gonna take this side, and then you take that side, and then we're gonna go back and forth. I mean, because don't get me wrong. I know there's another person in the room, but for the most part, I never even acknowledged that. Hey, ND, man. Thank you again. I appreciate it, man. I want to hit you up a little bit later on.
See you at the Beyonce concert.
All right, now. Once again, I want to thank ND Kalu, former NFL player, former host of In the Trenches on over at Sports Talk 790, for joining the Texans Tailgate Talk podcast. Make sure you are following me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Big Sarge Sports with a Z at the end. Follow me on the Tick and the Talk at Big Sarge Media. Make sure you subscribe to the Texans Tailgate Talk podcast and YouTube channel, all one word, Texans Tailgate Talk. And make sure you follow me on Instagram at Big Sarge Sports with the Z at the end, because you know we do everything for the gram. Big Sarge, I'm out.
Big Sarge.